over from, like, things and stuff?
Spectra's like, oh, yes, sorry, just 1 second, hang on, I'm going to... And she puts on her simi and reaches back, touches a button. Hey, Malachi, any updates on the data? There's some clunk, clunk, clunk. This time, it isn't Malachi that comes in, but it's another Ashen Forge, and you can see a mark of what looks like gears on the back of his hand. He's like, oh, Malachi's busy, but I have some of the data. Been calculating some of the telemetry. Oh, the name's Ash, by the way. I'm the chief mechanic of the Goliath, and I was sent down to help with any repairs, which I won't be doing in this weather. But checking some of the navigational data, and he just pulls out a chair and flops into it, which you recognize the clan mark is from the Tyngor clan. Tyngor. From what you remember, they're more into creating. So the placement of the mark, but like with the gear specifically, he's more into technological innovations. There's still a lot of data to go through, but we might be able to figure out some things and answer some questions. Gets distracted by the data and is typing, waiting for you all to ask questions.
Well, I mean, what have we found so far? Is Al able to give you anything useful?
We still haven't been able to get much from Al himself, but I believe we've been going through some of the records. There were some machines and interfaces within the hangar. Looks like we've got some data communications or repairs. Everything stops around when the basilisk disappeared, but it stops a little bit afterwards, so perhaps the ship arrived and then it, from the movement orders and so forth, it looks like things were loaded. If I'm not mistaken, Ash, it looks like they had a lot more supplies or requisitions than we found in there. And Ash is like, yeah, Calgara didn't calculate near this amount of supplies left. It looks like there was just some surplus repair supplies, perhaps, I think. Just extra stuff that maybe they didn't have the space for, or they were planning on coming back for, because apparently, according to Kelgrad, this is mostly supplies that would be useful for the maintenance of the hangar itself.
It was loaded off the basilisk?
Yeah, perhaps things were loaded onto a different ship. I'm still unsure why they left the basilisk behind. Perhaps it was... if they only had one ship on this planet, and if someone had to go somewhere, the others wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So they wanted to have more than one option, and perhaps when they left, they were planning on coming back for another trip. I mean, this hangar has obviously required some kinds of maintenance, so perhaps some people are going to stay behind and work on maintenance or upgrades to the hangar while the basilisk went to collect more people, perhaps? Or more supplies?
But then the basilisk was here too. So if there was a different ship, they took that one.
Yes, it would appeared so. And Ash pipes in, yeah, I'm seeing what looks like a departure alert, or looks like the last time the bulkhead for the hangar was sealed, and then there was nothing else. It's about a month after we last signal from the basilisk.
And there weren't any, like, logs of what ships come and go? Or have you not found those yet?
We're still trying to decrypt it and make sense of most of those. Some of the data's a little scrambled, or...
Makes sense.
It's using a different technological or filing system, so we're working to make sense of it. Still haven't gotten the ship name. We have a docking number. In that time they were called tail codes, but it's not showing against anything in the registry, but that could be because it's an older ship, and even if we narrow it down to things that were from that time period, there are, for example, some ships in the Kesh fleet, as well as with the Eldori and the Belair, that are several centuries old. that are still in use. Most of it's been replaced, of course, but...
Were there any robots, like, we found a, what are they called again? A black box robot?
Yeah.
In the hangar?
Hell.
Little Alfred.
Yes, he designated himself as Alfred.
Unfortunately, nothing quite like that, but we have found a bit of data, and we're trying to find useful bits. There's also a lot of internal communications, just, hey, don't forget to load the food stores from pad C to pad B, and have you double counted this, and it looks like at some point it was a rainy day and they had a bit of a mice problem.
What language were the communication? Was it common, or?
Looks like it might have been mostly in common to help with communication, but... I mean, some of the syntax looks like it might have not been their first language, and... Yes, there's some of this that looks... I've got Nell running against some of her language databases to see what that could have been. There's a little ping on her computer. Yes, looks like there's a high probability that some of them that were either Kesh or Eldori. Not seeing anything pop up. There are some that might be from other languages, but it could have been picked up. It looks like the highest probability is Kesh and Eldori.
I see. Has Nell made any progress on the diagnosis on Alfred?
Looks like she's been able to figure out most of what needs to be repaired, and Lex is getting ready for... He's gonna need to do some of the repairs in the cargo bay before he's able to safely transport it to a workshop for the rest of them. At least get it to where they can move and function in a more efficient manner, because we may need Alfred's help with some of the other updates and diagnoses, because there's systems built in where bots like this are able to assist and provide guidance in their own repairs. Just need to get those systems working, which hopefully Lex says it shouldn't take too long. I think he's going to be working on it soon once the storm passes. Something about weather causing strange ionization, messing with the finer calibrations, and I lost track of what he's talking about.
You may need to warn Lex that Alfred may ask if he's a pirate. He was inquisitive after he got done being just scared. So, may need to reassure.
Between Lex and Nell, they're both fairly good with virtual intelligences. Al is not a full AI, like Nell is. But he's still a pretty smart robot.
Except fully out of me.
He was an information gathering robot. It makes sense that he'd be curious.
We could always use one of those on the ship, I think,
So would we need to stay here until repairs on Alfred are complete so he could help with decoding some of that information?
Possibly. Lex is already working on replicating the pieces that will be needed to replace to at least get them somewhat functional. He just can't install them. Should be able to do that once we're in the air, and I believe the agreement was information in the hangar shared back and forth, information in Al itself, since he is a black box droid, and we're waiting it to get confirmation if he's owned by Nova Station, because then we wouldn't be able to access the information anyway. Still need to make sure who his actual owner is before we try. Right now we're mostly focusing on trying to get him functional, and there will be some data he can share, but legality. Sometimes you can skirt it in situations like this. It's best not to. There might be a reason things are encrypted. And then Ty's like, so I shouldn't have made a copy? That's fine.
So I'm assuming we just didn't.
Be careful where you keep it.
Don't worry, I will.
Yeah, because your medic is a hacker.
Yep.
Have you been able to get any of the navigational data? Astroplays. Starting to get some. It looks like we had at least a basic heading. Can't hard. I don't know exactly where they would be going with this. If you give that to me, I have some programs on my sim that could help calculate with the highest probability where they're going. He's like, yeah, sure, and he flicks her the information. She starts typing in. Well, chances are wherever they were going, if the Basilisk was going back and forth to different places in the Alliance, which is what it looked like, then this other ship was probably going somewhere else. Because, I mean, if they were trying to be covert, having two random ships going back and forth as opposed to one, if they're trying to hide, I don't know. Tally just kind of rambles on a bit.
Well, were they trying to be covert? I mean, we know about the Basilisk. Still, it seems like if they were trying to be covert, we wouldn't even know they lost a ship.
When a ship goes missing, sometimes you need help trying to find it. And the people who first noticed it was missing didn't realize it was part of something else. I think I saw a report somewhere where it was supposed to be, like, getting upgrades or repairs. At least that was the official records, but digging into that, some journalists were able to discover it wasn't actually there. So that could have been just to cover what they were doing, because they could have been transporting something that was valuable, like a planetary defensive system, or I'm not sure what they were working on back then. It was probably something along those lines, and they didn't want it to be hijacked by pirates or something.
It was Spectra that said that they were going a different direction from the Alliance planets, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then Vile mental missive...
Or Tally.
Or Tally? Okay, then Vi will mental missive Tally and be like, were they heading for the Federation or just towards uncharted space then, if they're not going towards the Alliance?
She's just typing away as you mental missive her, and when she gets that message, she just pauses for a second, like, oh, and then pulls up a galaxy map. You see her, like, looking at a map, she's, like, zooming in, and she's like, And her response back is, that's a really good question. Because it could have been,
I'm hoping they didn't go to the Federation. Vi mental misses back. Being like that. That's one way it got lost.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention this Spectra real quick. See her type out a message to Spectra, and Spectra pauses on what she's doing, is like, type. And she stares at her tablet for a while. Then she looks up at Vi and Anima. I don't suppose either of you are aware of supposedly how long Rakesh and Eldori were in the Federation? If you would like to roll, Lord.
Yeah.
I love
Which one is...
Come on, 2 nat 20s.
Val, have any questions?
No, not at the moment, at least, no. Just
Yeah.
listening.
I got a 6.
Ouch.
I got a 17.
There we go.
So, Anima, you've been part of... Well, no, you haven't been part of conversations, but you've heard conversations about, like the history, and there was someone... You remember they mentioned, like, a date when humanity first discovered the pockets of Eldori and Kesh. And you do kind of mental math and translate that year to Alliance years, because their year tracking system is different.
Do I have the intelligence score to do that math?
If I can help.
Roll intelligence.
Hell yeah.
That, or you can just say the year to somebody and just make up a year.
I got a 12.
You're starting to do the math, and you're like, that number doesn't feel right. I think I might be missing something. History was not my strongest subject.
Nope. So I'm gonna throw the date out there.
Just make something up.
Oh God. Let's see. The Federation humans first discovered Kashin-Aldori pockets around, I think it was 700 SFA.
Vi, do you want to roll?
Yeah.
Roll to see if you can translate that into Alliance years.
Ooh, I got a nat 1. Nope. Tally? Any?
Tally's just staring at Spectra at this point. And Spectra just takes a deep breath. Well, we've solved more than one mystery today, potentially. She kind of turns her sim-unit tablet around, and you can see, like, a flight path. One of their most likely destinations would have put them directly into Federation space. I don't know what their end goal was, but I think we know how the Kashin-Aldori ended up in the Federation.
Vi,
Yes?
you're a part of history.
You're all a part of history.
Yeah, but she's specifically descended from history at this point,
Yes.
by best guess.
When she says that, you think of that journal you got from Sandro. The one that you recognize, like you took it from the vault because it reminded you of something you saw your parents carrying, the journal you've been reading.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to wonder if someone that was on whatever the other ship was is the person who wrote it.
Oh, Relic is gonna hate me.
Oh, there's several people that are going to hate me, and Tally's just like, I'm gonna need a minute. She looks like her brain just exploded. Holy implications, what?
Does that mean that the Kashin-Aldori have only been in the Federation for about 200 years?
It's been several centuries.
Oh, I thought it was just like 2. Okay, several. Okay.
Whatever I said earlier, it's been centuries, so the math lines up to have a couple of generations, and you get the feeling talk about where they were from was probably very much frowned upon by the Federation.
Okay. So it's probably a thousand years or so then. Okay.
Yeah, or about like 800 years. Several
That would
hundred.
do it, yeah. Okay. Cool.
But you also remember that book held a story that they were going to tell you when you were old enough. So, some things are starting to make sense. Though now you have more questions.
Yeah.
What were they doing? Why were they going there?
Question. Did anyone notice Vi take the book from Sandra's vault?
Miss Yellow said you could take it.
Yeah.
So, like, people probably saw you, but just didn't think anything of it.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Would I guess I specifically know of Z?
In the retrospective, we mentioned that you are aware that there is a person Vi refers to as Z that she cares about that is in the Federation on his way out. But I think that might be the extent of your knowledge of him.
Okay.
Somebody just question you could ask, but I don't think anyone would know to ask it. I would probably think of the question.
What was the question? Sorry.
My question was, Z is Kesh. Does Z have any additional information?
Okay.
Yeah, would Z know anything about this?
That's my question, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Anima would ask that. Casey knows that
Yeah.
Z is Kesh, but Anima does not. Anima just knows that Z exists.
Vi, you are welcome to ask him.
Yeah, Vi will pull out... This probably seems a little odd to you, Bal. She pulls out what looks like a pair of sunglasses, but the lenses quickly tint to clear looking.
Oh.
I wonder if Z has any more information about that. And so she'll message him.
What are you asking him?
Z, I think I found some information about how Kesh and Eldori got into the Federation. Do you happen to know anything about that?
The first response is, when I saw a message from you, that was not the question I was expecting. I mean, I know most of my people are wanderers, and I was told we came here looking for something, whatever that was, I don't know. There might be some records or something maybe around within your people. I mean, well, my people probably made some notes. I just don't know if any of the ones nearby would know the answer, because I think I'm in Alliance space. I'm not entirely sure.
Do you know the planet name? Or the race?
He sends you a picture, and he's standing next to a Dindus. The Dindus, and he's like, not sure how to ask without looking weird, but are these in the Alliance?
Vi blinks.
You get to feel like he's like, I don't know how to ask the people around me where I am without sounding like I've lost my mind, but I know these aren't normal in the Federation, so...
No, that's...
Please send back a picture of Bal.
Actually, I think Vi will be...
Ty and Tally are at the table
Yeah.
right now.
Also them. Yeah.
I think Vi's gonna take a... Well, yeah, I could see her having some sort of photo capability on her sim goggles. So yeah, I'd say she looks over at Tally and Ty and just takes a picture and was like, yes, they're a race of beings known as the Dendis.
Tally is no longer looking like her mind is exploding, and she's yammering a mile a minute at Ty about the implications of this.
And the being to her, the Dendis in my picture's side, is of a race known as the Matakai.
There's a response back. Okay, cool. I'm gonna need a minute. Have you run into anyone we know recently?
Yes, actually. Scarecrow. He's on a planet and he stranded himself. Intentionally, he says. Which...
That is not surprising in the slightest. What's really surprising is the fact that he's still not dead yet.
Yeah, you think that something...
I've never seen anyone kick up a big hornet's nest as he did. Well, at least until Yowen almost got blown up. And...
Are you going to tell Z about the whole altercation with Anima?
Kai has powers.
The
And
altercation with him?
Yeah.
Oh.
That whole...
I hated you so
yeah,
much.
that whole
For a
kerfuffle.
while.
The reason that Scarecrow kinda...
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out Scarecrow actually knew about Anima, one of the people that left with me. She's... The race here is called Ashen Forged, I'm sorry. It looks like the Ashen Guard may have been badly modeled after them. I mean, they look somewhat similar, but they are not as... The Ashen Guard, aren't a sentient race, while the Ashen Forged have a pretty separate culture. A pretty distinct culture, I should say.
Couple minutes in response back. I'm sure all of this will make sense at some point, but I'm gonna need a minute and...
So you just...
Please tell me there's a shadow net out here.
Yes, it's actually not as bad in some ways as the one in the Federation. It's weird.
Oh, thank the stars. I'm gonna see if I can find anyone I know and get a better way off of this planet, because the money here is slightly confusing.
If you need help getting off planet, just let us know. Or let me know and I'll see what we can do.
Will do. I might actually have a way off planet. The gentleman I took a picture with has offered me a ride.
No. Sounds safe.
Well,
Didn't you tell me at one point to not go into rides with strangers unless you're gonna make sure they can't dispose of you?
Apparently his entire business is giving people rides, and I've already fact-checked and verified it while we were talking.
Space Uber.
Yeah, Space Uber. You do have money for that, right?
I mean, it makes sense.
Do you need me to send you some?
Well, the fun thing is, he thinks I'm related to someone he knows, so I'm just rolling with it for the free ride.
That's gonna end well.
Vi gives him just a thumbs up.
Don't worry, kid. I know what I'm doing, even... This is really weird, but I know how to get from planet to planet.
Okay, I'm glad you're safer now than you were.
And I am glad too, though I'm confused. Everyone's nice here.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but so far they're not backstabbing types.
Oh, these poor traumatized alien people.
Also, everyone's just kind of watching by. She's just staring.
Yeah. I'm like trying to follow the things that Tally is saying, but mostly it's just like straight like doot 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 doot.
Also, at some point, she switches to Dindus and starts going faster.
Oh no!
I know Dindus.
Oh.
But faster.
It makes about the same level of sense.
Yeah. I know Dindus. It makes somehow less sense in Dindus.
Ty's just nodding like he knows what's going on.
Can Ty speak Dindus?
Yeah, he can.
Okay.
He is nodding, but you get the feeling from the look on his face, he's not really catching on with all that she's saying.
At one point, Ty and I make eye contact, and we are both similarly like, are you getting this? Nope.
He just kind of like, she'll re-explain once she's gotten to the end of whatever rabbit hole she's gotten down, 'cause she's about to have an epiphany of some kind. This happens sometimes.
Anima settles in and waits to see what will happen with this drama.
You get a message from Z. Yeah, I gotta go. Looks like my ride's about to be leaving, but I will talk to you later once I figure out where I am.
Okay.
Good news is if I'm lost, Federation can have a fun time trying to find me.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, looking forward to seeing you relatively soon, Z.
See you around, kid.
The Vi will take off her glasses from him, like, okay, so, good news. Z's in the Alliance now. It's great.
Hey.
Oh, yay, that's awesome! So, and then just back in her stream. That's just good to hear.
I was hoping he may have some more information about the cache site coming from the Alliance. He doesn't, but I'm just glad he's out there, so we'll see what research we can do.
That's really good to hear. Does he know where he is? Does he need a ride anywhere?
No, he is getting by, but he does not know where he is. He actually was uncertain if he was in the Alliance or not, because he met his first Dendis, and I explained that, yeah, they're in the Alliance.
I don't remember when you met your first Dentist.
Yeah,
It was Tally. She stepped out of a robot suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could understand her, even when she was not talking in common. It's a very confusing time for all.
Yeah. That was fun times.
Ash!
Yeah?
Are there have you found any logs of names of, like, the people who are on these ships?
We're still working on getting to those. We've got what we think might be some names, or at least designations, or still trying to decipher from the internal logs. A lot of times they just refer to people by rank and designation, but maybe Alfred will have something.
We know Vi's last name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cyril?
Yeah.
Plural.
Sorel.
Should they look for that name in the records? It might be a starting point of decoding some of it. Eventually.
Vi also knows some other last names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may know some last names that they can check. Some might have been changed over the centuries, but
That's true.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Starting point.
Worth checking out at the very least.
Yes.
About you have no idea what we're talking about, do you?
No, none whatsoever, but it's fine. Sounds interesting, though, at least. Curious how someone doesn't know where they are, though. I mean, can your friend actually ask someone where they might be? I think you said Z.
Oh, ask Z where he is.
Can he ask someone around them? Because I think you said they don't know where they are.
I mean, he's gonna be moving to a different planet soon, so
I guess they'd probably tell him the destination.
yeah.
Also, I think Battle did remember that he's known at least one person who's from the Federation, and they were weirdly paranoid and not entirely trusting. That happened, around when you met Kai, I think. So you're vaguely aware the Federation is a place where some people from there are paranoid. You're starting to get that trend.
Yeah. It's no different than people who I used to work with, so I mean, makes sense. I mean, sometimes you can be paranoid, so it's not weird. Especially kind of lifestyle I used to lead, so I get it. There's a lot to be paranoid about.
Especially if you're from there. Talia says she's finished her train. I didn't reach the epiphany. But maybe with more data.
Maybe. Anyways, he's gonna try to see if he can find any of his old contacts in the Alliance space. So that may help.
You also have dossiers on several of them.
Yeah. Which Vi's probably not taking out right now.
Well, I think since we've established if you look at those, you're probably able to, send him those names.
Okay, yeah.
Ash looks up. I also am not entirely familiar with what you're talking about, but I'm just gonna nod like I am. It's not exactly common public knowledge, so pretend you didn't hear anything as I can do. I got it. We're good. I also wasn't paying attention to half of what you were talking about.
Okay.
Well, this certainly has been a very informative day, and I don't know quite yet what we're going to do with this information. But a lot to think about, and more questions now to ask than I actually had answered today.
Sometimes answers will do that. Sometimes it'll lead to more questions. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens, but
Also, I will nudge, since there are now other people in the room, Anima, other people may be familiar with your clan name, and if you also do now remember the name Vrel Marvala. So if you wanted to ask other people who are in the room about it.
No, not at the moment. I'm not gonna do that right now.
Or ask if they've happened to run into any Marvalas recently. Hey, do you know this specific person that is at Ashenforged? And more of a, hey, have you happened to run it by anyone with this last name recently?
Trying to find him. He owes me money.
Does she say that out loud?
No.
No.
Okay, good.
oh,
That was an out of character joke.
This is also your DM nudging you.
Oh god, you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Bleh.
You wanted to meet your clan? Gotta give you a direction.
No.
I mean, it's a pretty hard thing to do, especially because you just found them. So I mean, it's you want to, but then a little nerve-wracking too. It's like, oh my god, I haven't seen them in forever.
A lot of feelings there. Also,
You could do a little cyber stalkies.
that's true.
Just search the last name.
Find his Facebook. Wait a second.
Spacebook.
Or ask Vi too.
His Facebook. There we go. Find his Facebook. Yeah, there he is on Facebook.
That's a thing, yeah.
Oh god, that is a thing that I have just said. I could do some cyber stalking.
at least like a simple search, see what you find?
Yeah, let's try that one first.
Not like a deep dive into his personal history, just like a quick,
Like
maybe do you work for anybody, or have you been in the news recently? Roll investigation.
Oof. Investigation.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oof. Well, it's a number.
Yeah.
It's a single-digit number, but still a number.
I have good investigation, except if the roll is bad.
Can Vi give the help action in cyberstalking?
8.
I got an A.
I don't know how you could feel it Googling, so I'm just gonna say the weather's got your internet connection messed up.
Google's I cannot connect.
You type it in, you just get the swirling pinwheel of death.
Huh. I didn't have that happen when I was messaging Z.
Different online system?
Maybe.
Messaging system might be on a different wavelength than internet.
Yeah.
Sci-fi tech reasons.
Yeah.
Even in the future, nothing works.
It's like how you can have you can have signal on like a GPS unit, but not have signal on your cell phone.
Okay.
So watch Anima just stare at the tablet, is circling, thinking.
Well, you can, while waiting for that mess to resolve, the mess of the internet, you could write down the questions, maybe? Or what you want to research, and that way you'll remember everything.
Did you tell us that's what you're doing right now?
You can probably see that she's typed something in and she looks very frustrated.
Tippity tappity.
You can see it looks like she's trying to look something up.
I think I have a spare sketch pad or notepad if you want to write whatever we want to research down.
Probably also like a notebook app under Sim Unit.
That as well.
A notes app.
What are you trying to figure out, Anima?
Just gonna see if I could find route.
I can ask around. I have friends who travel around. Do you know what ship he usually travels on?
Do I?
Roll me an intelligence check with advantage because you spent time on that ship. And by all means, take your time as I frantically look up spaceship names.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow.
Chutzpah.
Well, I mean, it's,
It's one better than the last one. It's 9.
You can kind of picture it in your head, but you're just like, drawing a blank. Was that with advantage?
That was
Yes.
with advantage. My other roll was a 2.
Oh. Okay, cool. More time to figure out what I want that name to be.
Nope. That would be useful information.
It may come to you later.
True. Well, can't hurt. I'll got a couple friends who travel around a lot. They may know the name. Might be able to get the direction of where they've been recently.
Was Route kind of like the, I don't want to say head of the family because that has a weird connotation, but like that figure?
He was the captain of the ship. It was kind of his ship,
Yeah.
but he wasn't exactly. It was, yeah.
Was he cool?
Up to you, Casey. Was he?
Was he the one that recruited me specifically, or was that like...
He was the one that recruited you specifically. He was the one who was there named you Marvala. You also worked with him some before that, and even though he wasn't necessarily the head of the family, he was probably definitely the dad friend.
I mean... He was cool, except when he made bad jokes. And he did that a lot. So, like...
Bad jokes were pretty funny.
Lots of dad jokes.
When's the last time you actually seen him?
This time, wisdom.
Oh,
It might be above double digits.
17? No add-on.
Still, that's a good roll. You remember it was a bit harder going with just Dottie and not going, because you remember that your unit would travel around together, but you also remember traveling around a lot with Dottie. I think this might also be when you remember that not long after you were named Marvala, Dottie informed you that the group of scientists she was working with decided to hire on some security, and it just so happened to be like the group that she worked with ended up basically hiring your family unit. This was before you were accepted into it.
Huh.
But it's just like, yeah, we could use some security and assistance, so she was excited. You didn't always work just with her. Sometimes you would go like help with other people, but this was probably one of the few times it was just you and another person leaving the group, and it was you and Dottie. And it was weird, but you remember a couple of days before you went to whatever station Nova Station was going to have you work at, that he just took you out for lunch and gave you a pep talk and said, well, I don't know, might try that pirate thing. See if we can get some other jobs working around.
Pirate thing.
You remember the Pirate Corps?
Yes, I do.
You don't know how big it is, but basically the Pirate Corps is a bunch of ship's captains who run around Robin Hooding. They help people. Robin Hooding is not a correct word for what they do. Well,
if they were in the
some of them maybe.
I was gonna say, if they were in the Federation.
Basically, like, the Alliance doesn't really have a military, so the Pirate Corps is kind of like an unofficial military that formed alongside the Alliance, so they help with a lot of research. Some of them just, they go to answer distress signals.
Like that one college doesn't have an official band, it's just a student-led organization.
Yes.
They still real.
Is Anima actually making that noise?
Yes.
Anima?
You know what? I mean, it's
What was that thing called? Because the only thing popping into my brain is the Chroma Conclave, and I for sure know that's not right.
What?
I mean, whoa. I know they've reached out this far.
The Core Conclave?
Yeah, that one.
The Pirate Corps, the Core Conclave.
The Core Conclave.
It was mentioned like forever ago, and then not again until we did the retrospective.
Yeah, because that plot thread kind of got dropped like a rock.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a thing that will happen eventually.
Spectra.
Yes.
Core Conclave. They might be there.
Really?
He mentioned an attempt to get in that business right before I left.
In that case, I'm going to change who I'm asking. You know, there's at least one person somewhere, and I don't know if it's still the same person or if she's still doing it, but there's someone who keeps track of all the people and all their docking numbers, and that's... I also need to check and see if there are any updates on when that's been. I haven't heard anything, but... Talk about the small world. I'd ask if you're okay, but based on the conversation and the noise you're making, I'm pretty sure the answer's no, but also yes?
Oh. Hi, Tolly. You've come back.
Oh, she finished her, thing a few minutes ago.
Did you come to any spectacular epiphanies?
Not yet, but I'm close.
I've had several today. I feel like I need to lie down.
I think maybe a nap would be in order, yeah. It also looks like the storm should be letting up soon if you want to return to your quarters. I think we'll be able to leave. Yeah. group message says that they're just about done inventorying everything and they've about got the basilisk ready for pickup. Fortunately, it looks like we still have a couple of months before the core conclave. Are still finalizing dates and locations. Logistics are difficult with how many ships we are at so far, but apparently Grapevine says a route to Martavala might have been seen around Peltivaria? It's not terribly far from here. We can go there and see what's going on. Maybe we'll be able to catch them. If not, at least figured out where they're going next.
I mean, if we have anything else to do...
I feel like if we don't resolve this soon, you might explode. It'll also be a minute before we hear back from anyone at Nova Station, so... we have time for this. Oh yeah, Peltivaria is also kind of a really fun place. And I'm really excited to meet the rest of your family, Anima.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're heading the right direction, at least.
So, the meal wraps up, the rain fades off into the distance as the storm continues to move across this mostly abandoned planet, except for the one skittery weirdo that's hiding in a cave somewhere. He'll be fine. We'll figure out what happens to him later, but y'all back up onto the ship, and the Opal Star takes off for Peltivaria. You have been listening to Aboard the Opal Star, an Esper Genesis 5e actual play podcast DM'd and produced by Brianna Jean as part of Pseudonym Social, a creative podcast network changing reality one story at a time. Vilena is played by Alexis Workman. Anima is played by Casey Glover. Stavios is played by Shan Smith. Balamar is played by Blake Francis. And the theme music, as always, is by Patrick Chester of Chester Studios. If you don't want to wait to see what happens next, you can get early access to our episodes over at patreon.com/pseudonymsocial. If you like our show, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting app so people can know where to find us. We couldn't do this without your help. To get more information on this or any of our other shows, check out our website at pseudonymsocial.com.